One of the reasons why so many students fail the IELTS test is because they're so anxious and worried that they end up doing much worse than they could have. Of course, your score will depend largely on your language level and whether you know what to do in each section. However, even if you practice at home, you'll find that some attempts are more successful than others. Your score may be lower if you are tired, haven't had enough sleep, or having problems at work and can't concentrate on the test. And that's okay, because we're humans, not robots. However, when it comes to the final day, and your future depends on the score you get, such fluctuations are not okay. You don't want to score lower just because you were too anxious and worried. So, what should you do to make the most of your test day? Hello and welcome to our IELTS preparation series. I'm Anastasia, and in the previous video we talked about 7 things to do to succeed on the IELTS writing. In this video, we'll discover what to expect on test day and how to make the most of it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to be notified when the next video comes out. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing to keep in mind is that no matter how well you prepare, things can go wrong on test day, and you need to be ready for that. In fact, there are 3 types of students when it comes to test taking: those who overperform on test day, those who perform as expected, and those who underperform. I know students who may be at a mediocre level, but end up scoring even higher than they thought possible, because they stay calm and focused and do their best on test day. I also know students who do amazingly well when they practice at home, but get so nervous during the test that they underperform. There are also those who do exactly the same as in their assessments. That's why when I evaluate students speaking and writing during consultations for our IELTS prep course and in my one-on-one sessions, I always encourage them to take the test only after they have consistently scored a few points above the required score. That way, even if something goes wrong, they'll still get their target score and stay on the safe side. In most cases, they score higher than they need to and are very happy with their results. To make sure you get to this level, we've created the IELTS preparation book. It's a compilation of practice tips and tricks, useful resources, and tons of exercises to really boost your level. When you get tips like work on your paraphrasing skills, you have to search for resources to do that. In our prep book, you'll have all the practice exercises necessary to improve your skills for each section of the test. All chapters are followed by fun quizzes to test your understanding, so that you remember all the important material covered. We've also included a chapter where you can review the vocabulary and grammar that every student must know in order to score well on the IELTS writing and speaking sections. After reviewing hundreds of essays and listening to thousands of speaking responses, I can assure you that every single student makes pretty much the same mistakes, and these mistakes don't allow them to score higher. That's why I've included all the necessary information in the grammar and vocabulary section. A common misconception is that you need to know all the grammar rules to get a high score on the IELTS. This is not true. In fact, brushing up on just a few topics will help you improve your score significantly. I'll leave the link to the book in the description below. As you can see, effective preparation for the test day is key, but another important thing is the test day itself. During my consultations, students often ask me questions such as, how can I manage my anxiety during the test? Can I take notes in the listening section if I'm taking a computer-based test? Can I ask the examiner to repeat the question on the speaking section? Can I start the writing section with writing task 2? And many more. The thing is, if your test is tomorrow, and you have no idea how to answer these questions, you'll probably end up scoring much lower than you would have. Because first, you don't know the rules of the game. And second, because it'll put extra pressure on you and make you worry even more. So tip number 2 is to study carefully what to expect on the day of the test. You don't want to worry about getting to the test center on time or having any technical problems if you decide to take the IELTS online. So let's take the guesswork out of it and walk you through the process of taking the test both online and at the test center. There are 2 types of IELTS tests: IELTS Academic and IELTS General Training. The IELTS Academic is created for future students. while the IELTS general training is usually oriented on those who want to move to an English-speaking country. You can take both tests at the test center in a paper-based format or on a computer. The question types, timing for each part of the test, and content are the same for both computer and paper-based tests. If you choose to take a computer-based version of the test, you'll do the reading, listening, and writing sections on a computer, and you'll need to type your answers. You'll also have the option of taking notes on paper during the listening test. If you take the IELTS paper-based test, you'll complete the reading, listening, and writing sections on paper. You can use a pen or HB pencil to complete your writing test. But you must use an HB pencil to write your listening and reading answers on the answer sheet. The speaking section takes place separately on both tests and is a face-to-face interview with an IELTS examiner. For the IELTS academic, there is also an option to take the test online. It's called IELTS Online and allows you to take the test at home or in a private location with a stable internet connection. It has the same test format and duration as the IELTS academic test taken in a test center. But this time, the speaking test is done online via a video call with an IELTS examiner. Before taking the IELTS online test, you should check whether the university of your choice accepts IELTS online scores. Let's start by talking about taking the test at the test center. First, you will want to arrive a little earlier than the test center tells you. They'll send you an email before the test to inform you of the schedule for test day. The email will tell you what time the test starts and when they'll expect you at the test center to register. Arrive about 30 minutes early. That way, you won't be in a rush and you'll have plenty of time to do everything. Eat and drink beforehand. You won't be able to bring food into the test room. You can only bring water in a clear bottle. When going into the test room, you'll need to bring your ID card, a pencil and pen, and an eraser. You must leave other personal belongings outside the test room. I remember when I took the test, we just left all our stuff in one room and went into the test room with only our IDs, pens, and pencils. One important thing to remember is that you should bring the same ID that you used when you booked the test. It should also be valid. Otherwise, you won't be able to take the test. They'll also take a photo of you, which will appear on your IELTS certificate. So make sure you dress nicely. First, you'll take the listening, reading, and writing sections with no breaks between them. Your speaking test can be taken on the same day or up to 7 days before or after. My speaking test was on the same day as the other sections, and I was very happy about that because I didn't want to go to the test center again. If you have any questions during the test, you can always raise your hand to ask for help. For example, suppose you can't hear the recording very well in the listening section. Raise your hand. If you need to use the bathroom, raise your hand. Now, you can take the IELTS online from home or any other quiet and private place where no one will disturb you. It's designed for future students, so if you're taking the IELTS for visa or immigration purposes, you'll need to take it at a test center. As I said, your room should be quiet and no one should enter it during the test. It should also have plenty of light so the examiner can see your face well and make sure it's you and not someone else. You may sit or stand at a table, and you should remove all personal items from the table except your passport, a water glass, or unlabeled water bottle, and your phone. Keep your phone with you as you will need it to show your keyboard and screen to the proctor who will be observing you. Once you've done this, you should turn off your phone and put it away. Make sure you don't have any headphones, earbuds, watches, or other non-essential items on or with you during the test. You'll also need a stable internet connection, so it's best to avoid taking the test from unfamiliar locations. Before you take the test, I recommend that you watch the British Council's online IELTS tutorial, where you'll see what the different types of questions will look like during the test, and how to use some of the key features of the Inspire exam portal. This will help you feel more confident and know how to navigate the portal effectively on test day. As mentioned earlier, with IELTS Online, you'll take the listening, reading, and writing tests on a computer, just as with the computer-based test. However, your speaking test will still be with a human examiner and will take place via an online video call. The test is taken on the Inspire exam portal, IEP. You'll get an email with a download link after you book your test. IELTS.org recommends that you do this at least one day before your test, so that you can do a pre-test system check. It's better to do this 2 to 3 days in advance to avoid extra anxiety. Your listening, reading, and writing tests will be monitored by a remote proctor. This is a person who will make sure you don't cheat. Actually, you won't be able to do much because once the test starts, your browser will be locked and you won't be able to access anything but the test platform. But don't worry, once you've finished the test, you can remove the IELTS exam portal. You'll receive your results 6 to 8 days after taking IELTS online. You can cancel your IELTS online test up to 72 hours before your test date. Finally, tip number 3 is to avoid anxiety and panic at all costs. Anxiety goes hand in hand with distraction and takes away your focus and concentration. So try to stay as calm as possible. The main problem with anxiety is that when you worry, your brain freezes up. So your memory, concentration, and focus plummet. You know that feeling when your mind is completely blank and you can't remember even the most basic things? In times of extreme stress, the feeling of blanking out is common. We all have limited reserves of cognitive focus. And when too much is going on behind the scenes, our minds do not function as they normally would. Now, imagine this happening during the test. The listening section begins, and you can barely concentrate on what the speaker is saying, let alone answer the questions. Or you get so nervous during the speaking section that you start stuttering or babbling, which will definitely lower your score. This is not what you want to happen on test day. There are a few things you can do to eliminate anxiety and reduce stress. First, try to understand why you're so anxious. One reason is that you're not used to working under pressure. At home, you take practice tests in a familiar atmosphere with no one to interrupt you. So when you get to the test center, you may be overwhelmed by the number of other test takers and simply get lost. To avoid this, you should simulate the test conditions as much as possible and even prepare for the worst case scenario. What can you do? First, start taking full-length practice tests that simulate your test day a week before the test. Complete the listening, reading, and writing sections all at once. Then take a small break and continue with the speaking section. If you plan to take the test online, you'll be monitored by a proctor. You won't see them, but they will be watching you to make sure you're not cheating. To prepare for this, turn on your computer's webcam to make it feel like you're being watched. Second, practice under tougher conditions than the ones you'll have on the test. Turn on the radio or a podcast in the background when you take practice tests, or simply study in a room full of your family or friends. This will help you learn to ignore distractions and focus on your tasks. For the speaking section, ask a friend or family member to play the role of the examiner. Ask them to be serious and not smile when they interview you. I often see students who worry that the examiner isn't friendly to them and think it's because they are saying something wrong. That's not true. In fact, on my test day, the examiner was very unfriendly, but it had nothing to do with me. And despite his attitude, I ended up getting a great score. So don't be affected by the way the examiner communicates with you. Maybe they're just tired or have had a bad day. Also, ask a friend or family member to take notes while you speak. Again, very often students panic when the examiner writes something down because they think the only thing he or she would write down is their mistakes. This isn't true. Most examiners will not take notes while you speak, unless they're writing down the time to help them manage the schedule. Don't let this ruin your performance. It's not your job to worry about it. Concentrate on delivering what the examiner wants so that you get a high score. If you get used to someone taking notes while you speak, when you practice at home, you won't even notice if an examiner occasionally writes down a few things on test day. Another way to eliminate stress is to tell yourself that this is not your last try. You can retake the test as many times as you want. Imagine it's just one of the practice tests you've been doing at home. You certainly want to try to do your best, but just try. In my experience, all students who think it's their last attempt score lower than expected. Instead, those who just want to test themselves and are willing to take the test a few more times end up passing with flying colors. Also, practice breathing techniques. There are many breathing techniques that can help you calm your mind and reduce stress. One is called box breathing. You inhale through your nose for 4 counts, then hold your breath for 4 counts, exhale through your mouth for 4 counts, and then pause for 4 more counts. Repeat this circle over and over until you feel calmer. My suggestion is to do everything for 5 counts instead of 4, because it's a little more effective. You can also do an eye exercise that usually helps stop panic attacks. It's a great distraction from your worries and may even make you laugh at how silly you look. First, move your eyes up and down at least 15 times. Count carefully, this will distract you even more. Then, move your eyes from side to side another 15 times. Side to side, side to side. See how funny I already look? Then, move your eyes diagonally, like this. And then, like this. Again, 15 times each. By the time you're done, you'll be so absorbed in the process that you'll forget why you were anxious in the first place. If you want to learn more strategies and techniques to help you ace the IELTS, check out our IELTS book. There is a whole chapter dedicated to test day tips and strategies, with checklists, detailed explanations, and advice on what to do on test day. Now that you know what to expect on the IELTS test day, it's time for some final tips. 1. Don't study the day before the test. Cramming at the last minute won't help. Instead, take a day to relax, watch a movie in English, and forget about the test. I often have students ask me to have a lesson with them on the day of the test. And I usually say no, because that won't help. Everything you need to know should be studied beforehand. 2. Go to bed early and get a good night's sleep. This will leave you fresh and energetic in the morning. According to research, sleeping about 7 to 8 hours is associated with the highest cognitive performance and greater gray matter volume in several areas of the brain. It also varies greatly from person to person. In fact, I would allow for at least 9 to 10 hours of quality sleep before the test. 3. Do some breathing exercises on the way to the test center or an hour before the online test. This will help you cope with the pressure. 4. Do a few things before the speaking section. First, repeat the breathing exercises. This will help you stay calm. Second, do at least 10 tongue twisters to warm up your voice and ensure clear enunciation. Enunciation is how clearly and distinctly you speak. Clear enunciation is very important in IELTS speaking. Also, don't rush when answering questions in the speaking section. Slowing down a bit will improve your pronunciation and enunciation and allow you to avoid mistakes. Watch a quality English speaking video or podcast for about 5 minutes. This will help you get into your best speaking mode because you will be unconsciously imitating the speaker you just heard a few minutes ago. So, we've covered what to expect on test day and learned tips to help you maximize your performance. Now, all you need to do is to get ready to tackle each section of the test effectively. Feel free to use our IELTS book for this purpose. If you want to get your writing and speaking scored, click here. Also, subscribe to the channel to get more tips and tricks on how to ace the IELTS test. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, remember that getting a high score on the IELTS is not an impossible feat. You can do it. Until next time, happy studying, and I'll see you all very soon in the next video. Good luck!